How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. This is a continuation video of the 70 bucket list ideas. If you guys weren't really counting, I actually only finished half of those bucket list ideas. So you guys seem to like that video quite a bit, where there is no editing whatsoever. It just sort of flows and flows. And you might have even watched it kind of like a podcast, put it up on the radio, in the car or whatnot. So today I'm gonna continue on with these ideas. I hope it helps you guys. Just, I don't know, it might be something fun to do because it was essentially very fun for me. These are kind of very personal, I guess. Sorry, need to drink some water here. Anyway, I'm gonna keep on going with this list over here. The next one is buying a new car. I never thought that I would ever buy a new car because I always thought it was going to be way too expensive. And actually, just a few months before buying my Model 3 Performance, I kind of balked at other people buying, spending like whatever amount on a relatively expensive car. I just thought, why are you buying that? Your old beat up car works just fine, because that's exactly what I was doing with my old 20-year-old Porsche Boxster. And for some reason, I just kind of flipped a switch. Sometimes you want what you want, and buying a new car is kind of like, I kind of like dreamed of doing that. I never knew I would do it so soon. And I feel like having your own car from the very beginning, where no one adulterated it, no one went in your car, used it all up, touched all over it, and then you always find like a bunch of dirt and you don't even know if it's your dirt, right? Because if it's your car, if it got there, it's yours from the beginning. So there's a lot of that. I owned two previous used cars before getting this new one. So that has always been on my mind, and I think getting it just sort of fills my curiosity. I don't know if I'm going to get a new car going forward. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But it is one of my bucket list things. Another one is sleep in a capsule hotel and internet cafe. It's not like I wrote this stuff down and then I just suddenly thought, oh, let me go and do it because I had it in a bucket list. I thought it was interesting. I went and did it in Tokyo. Internet cafe, right? Sleeping in an internet cafe. This idea came to me from watching a internet video where some guy was sleeping in it. People were doing it not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. Some people, maybe they're working menial jobs or whatnot, and then that is something that they have to resort to. I just thought it was kind of interesting, so I also wanted to give it a try to see how hard it is. It turns out it's kind of not very comfortable, and the mat they give you, it's kind of not breathable. It's like nylon or something. So when I slept there, I was just sweating all over the place. Capsule hotels, if you don't have claustrophobia, it's kind of fun to try. In Tokyo, they have those square coffins. It's about like a square like this and as long as your body. So you just kind of more like this wide and this tall, and then you like scoot yourself into this hole, and then you just sleep in there. That was an interesting experience. And then you can buy like a shower for like 300 or 500 yen or something, which is equivalent to $3 to $5 USD if you need to take a shower. Buying a house, I satisfied this long ago. It's just some kind of like a rite of passage, I think, for Asian people, for at least in my culture. It's always like, yeah, that's the thing that you need to do first. You need a place to live, so everybody just saves up money and buys a house. Sleep in the car. I did that a whole bunch of times here and there. Over in Maui, I slept in the car in Las Vegas when I did a crazy trip, around California through Nevada. Learn to pilot a drone. I did this. It's like a skill that you want to learn. I always wanted to fly a helicopter, like I said. After I learned via using very tiny drones, because then you're not afraid of crashing those things. If you have like a $1,000 drone, you're just too afraid to pull off any maneuvers or whatnot. So with the tiny drone, I was able to train myself to fly just by visual, just looking at the drone itself. These days, with really high tech drones, people might just believe they can fly. They just look at the video screen and just fly it kind of like a first person. But then when it starts flying close to you, well, it's very helpful to not look at the screen and just kind of switch your vision to looking at the drone. So you need to be able to fly the drone without the first person view. So if it's kind of like a mirrored control, when the drone is facing you, it's mirrored control, right? So you need to just automatically switch those controls in your brain if you see the drone. So learning this skill was very important. I don't know, I know it now, and I just feel, it's kind of great to have this skill along with riding a motorcycle. Imagine if you don't know these two, right? You don't know how to fly a drone or motorcycle. It's just, it just becomes kind of like a mysterious thing if you don't know how to do it. But now that I know how to do it, I'm like, oh, that's easy. You just shift your motorcycle into gear, and then you have the throttle, right? And then you have the little clutch on the left side, and just drive it kind of like a car. Same thing with a drone. It's the rudder left and right, and then the engine power, and then the pitch and yaw and whatever on the right side. Anyway, RTV in the dunes. I guess after college, you have a whole bunch of people. Let me check what the time is, 7 minutes and 50. After college, people like to do a lot of new things, I think. I think people tend to search out new things to try, and it seems interesting. And if it's your first time too, everybody's like, oh, they're on board. So you got a whole bunch of people, a group of 10 people maybe, and everyone has never done this before, and then you go and RTV in the dunes. And it was a very scary experience, because I almost kind of had the RTV flip over on me. Luckily, there were some people at the top of this hill. It was like a 45-degree. It felt a lot steeper. It felt like it was like this to me when I was on the RTV. So you go really, really fast, and then you try to get up on top of this dune thing, which must have been, it felt like 50 feet high up or 70 feet high up. So you kind of go really fast, and then you use the momentum to get all the way up, because the engine power is not gonna pull you all the way up there. And I just didn't have enough momentum, and I just kind of, couldn't reach the top. So then when you're sliding back down, you're supposed to only hold onto the brake of the front wheel. If you hold the brake on the back wheel, then it's gonna hold the back wheel, and you're gonna flip over like this. So that's what I started doing. And then the people at the top is like, hey, stop, hold the front brake. And then I was just kind of, my mind was kind of jumbled. I was panicking, right? So then, good thing they told me, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, how do I do this? And then I held onto the front brake, and then I slowly slid down, and oh my gosh, yeah. I watched one of my friends flip over in not as steep dune, and that was crazy. It was like, oh my gosh, you feel kind of worried, because it's flipping over, and you don't know if it's gonna like run over their body or not, or whatnot. But instead, it just kind of fell off to the side, luckily. But it's a dangerous thing to do if you don't know what you're doing. Fish foot spa I did it in Singapore and also in Thailand. Some people might say this is not ethical, because the fish thing, right? I don't know. I guess I did it once just out of curiosity, and if there's an ethical thing, maybe I just never do it again. They're hungry. They're eating your foot cells, and because I think they're being starved or something in order to eat the skin cells, nibble on your feet. Otherwise, they're not going to nibble. If they have enough food, right, they're not going to nibble. ethical reasons or humane things about fish. There's a little bit of that, but let's just skip over that. You know, that was an interesting thing to do once. Um, you know, you might sometimes say, should you even do it once? Because if everybody in the world does it once, you know, it's going to be a very, very sad place. So there is some of that I personally have to get over, I guess. You know, maybe I shouldn't have even done it once. So anyway, let's skip over that. YouTube, 100,000 subscribers. It's a milestone. And frankly, I never thought I would reach it. When, you know, even when I was at 10,000 subscribers, I guess I was like thinking, oh, you know, this might be possible in another 2 years or so. So anyway, it happened a lot faster than I anticipated. It's a goal, and having reached it, you know, it's fun. I have my 100,000 subscriber plaque over there, that silver button, hoping to get 1 million. I'm trying, but then, you know, it's hard to get subscribers these days, especially when I'm doing random content like this, purposely doing random content that I enjoy. And I feel going through these is important for you guys because these are very, I don't know, I think bucket list ideas are interesting, especially from someone else. You might be able to draw from this and use it yourself, and maybe if you try it, you're gonna feel very rewarded. You're gonna feel like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna do something like this, and it's gonna be really fun. And bucket list ideas is exactly what it sounds like. You do it so that you won't have any regrets, because if it's on your bucket list, you want to do it before you hit the bucket. Anyway, attend an idol concert. This was in Tokyo. I thought it might be fun, but then it's not like one of these really, really popular idol things, you know, and I just went to some random one that was at Akihabara Nerd Station, right? That's where they have all this crazy idol stuff, and you know they have these girl band, and then they're just dancing and singing. I thought that was kind of cool. It was an interesting experience because when I went there, all the attendees were male, and apparently you're supposed to buy a drink or something when you're inside, and then they also gave me a really good discount to go in. I guess they're trying to rope people in to come in more. That is my feeling, as a kind of like a recurring subscriber, I guess, you know, to keep on going there. And I even talked to some of the guys that goes there. If you go there religiously to every single one of their events, I asked them how much they spent. They're like, oh, you know, around $500 a month. Wow. Yeah, so that's why they wanted to rope me in, so that, you know, I would go there one time and I'll be like, hey, this is a really, really cool experience. I don't know why, because I certainly am a foreigner, right? I didn't speak Japanese. I had to speak English to me. Why did they think I lived there? I don't know. But it is what it is. There's a thing called a Grunion Run. Double check I am recording. Yep. This is in the Santa Monica area, the Southern California area. It's where these fishes, these tiny little fishes about this big, 8 inches maximum, but they're better when they're a little bit smaller. You'll see why. These fishes, they run up to shore, they swim up to shore when there is a high tide, and it happens only in mating season during the summer. They swim up to shore to mate on the beach, which is the weirdest thing. I had a friend in graduate school. They told me about this, and then we were like, oh yeah, let's go. And then the first time I went, wow, it was amazing, because a lot of people, they might even try to view this crazy natural event. They go time and time again, they cannot find the grunions. But I went the first time and I saw them. It was amazing. They swim up to shore to mate. and you can see thousands and thousands of these grunions. They're just dancing around, reflecting light off of, you know, whatever that you're shining at them, your cell phone camera or flashlight or whatever, and they're just dancing around. And of course, they don't swim up to you when you are around, because you know they're like, oh, someone's ashore over there, not let's not mate over there. So they're a ways away when they swim ashore, and you can see them dancing around. The thing is, this is kind of like a fishing event. You can run up to them with a bucket and just grab them off the ground. They're just dancing around, and you squeeze them. Well, not squeeze them, just try and catch them, and then you can just toss them into your bucket. This is a way to fish. You don't even need a fishing hook, a pole, or anything. You just need a bucket and your hands. And if you're not too squirmish about grabbing fishes, well, and also when you grab them, sometimes you might see fish semen or whatever, fish goo come out, and it's kind of gross, right? But yeah, you can grab them and stick them in your bucket. And then I went with some friends, and then when we went back home, well, they're kind of almost dead already, but you know, you just kind of clean them up, wash them up, dip them in some cornstarch, and then you fry them, and then you can eat them whole along with the bones if they are about this big or smaller. When they're a little bit bigger, then the bones are a little bit too big in order to eat the whole thing, so you're gonna have to just eat the meat rather than swallow them whole. I would say that is one of the funnest things I have ever done. So fun, in fact, that you know, I just have no self-control here. When it's something really, really fun and I'm running after them, I just keep on running. And I was on the beach, and I ran so hard that I hurt these tendons at the front of my legs. And so that summer, I was to go to Tokyo. So, if this was the case, then it must have been my undergraduate school, I think. Well, I kind of forget the timing. So anyway, right afterwards, I went to Tokyo, and I was supposed to climb Mount Fuji, and I didn't even know. And if you watched the last video, you know that I had my legs were a little hurt when I climbed that. So this is the reason I hurt my legs, is because I was chasing after grunions maybe like 2 or 3 weeks right before that. Bond with an elephant. Now, this is a fun thing. When I was in Thailand, I went to this elephant trip thing. It costs a lot. I forget how much it was, maybe $200 or something. But apparently, you can go to less humane sites, and it'll cost a bit less. But I don't know. I feel good about it. The experience was definitely worth it, even if I paid a little bit more than other people would have if you went to other sites. But I met... what's a kampa or something? I forget the name of the elephant, but then everybody didn't like that one for some reason. You know, everyone else was kind of surrounding the other ones because they're bigger or whatnot. But then this one, I don't know. I guess it's like a loner elephant, I hear. So then, you know, I was talking to it, and you know, bonded with it, and it was I of course I didn't speak elephant, but I felt like the body language, I kind of understood sort of what it was trying to say, especially when I'm like, here, you know, let me help you with the pumpkin, and the elephant was crushing it. It was amazing how well it can crush the pumpkin, because personally for me, I tried to crush it in front of the elephant, right? So I'm like, okay, let me help you crush it. So I took my foot and I just kind of like stamped on it, and then I used too much force, and it just kind of shattered into like 20 pieces. And right after that happened, the elephant used his trunk, and it was like swinging it really wildly. Like it almost seemed like it was laughing, because it's like, haha, look at you. You stupid human, you know, like you're just kind of like did it the wrong way, you know, kind of like you would laugh at a friend. Anyway, you can see the elephant when it crushed the pumpkin. There was like a lot of dexterity involved, right? It pushed the pumpkin and it crushed it just so that there's only like 2, 3 pieces. So you got to be very gentle and put the exact amount of pressure and just kind of have some feedback. You're like, okay, now the pumpkin is crushed. Okay, I'm not going to put any more pressure on it because you don't want pumpkin soup or anything right underneath. So I was kind of amazed by the dexterity of its feet. It's amazing. So, bonding with an elephant, just kind of observing wild animals. Was it wild? It's probably quite tamed by then. Eat a pizza in New York. If you've never been to New York, I mean, that's the main reason I went the last time. I just have no idea about any landmarks or anything. But the cool thing about having visited a big place, like a major city like this, is whenever I watch movies now, I recognize New York. I'm like, oh, that is Central Park. Oh, that is wherever. So it gives you a lot of context when you're consuming pop culture stuff, Spider-Man, things like that. So I feel when you've went to these new places that the movies show, whatever that you're showing, it adds another layer of understanding. Anyway, and also eating pizza. For the longest time, people would be like, oh yeah, New York pizza is the best. You would see this in films all the time. They would have it flown in. If it's like some rich person, they would fly in pizza, within a few hours and they get their pizza from New York. I'm like, I just didn't understand. Now I understand. After having like pizza at 8 different locations in New York, I'm like, okay, I understand why pizza there is so good. And it is really good. And in the Bay Area, I mean, I eat pizza here and there. It just doesn't come close, even like Two Brothers Pizza, right? I really, really like that pizza. And it's only like what is it, like $1.50 or something? It's really, really cheap and it's really, really good. It's just, yeah, a new level of understanding here. Barbecue a ribeye in Maui. I don't want to make this too long. I made a video on this. It seems like the grass-fed beef in Maui, they don't serve this in restaurants. I have a feeling it's because they probably just want to reserve this grass-fed beef to the locals because they don't have that much to go around. So I was able to buy grass-fed beef in Maui at a grocery store. They sell it there, but then they don't sell it at a restaurant for whatever reason. But in order to consume a grass-fed beef in Maui, you have to, get your own charcoal or whatever and then grill it there, or you need some place with a kitchen to grill it yourself. I would say this is an amazing, amazing experience. I thought the beef tasted really, really good, or maybe it's just my mood at the time. I had some golden Maui pineapples. Those are really, really sweet compared to typical pineapples. So what a feast. Like things that you've never tried before, and it just kind of just I don't know, exceeds your expectations. Just, rather than, 1 out of 10 is your scale, you have something that's really good and just blows the top of it off of it, and it's like a 12 in terms of how great it tastes. It's hard to do this over and over again. And if you keep on doing this, you might run out of new things to try, but hopefully not. I guess you might end up finding, having a hard time finding, new things to try. Anyway, I also ate a red banana in Maui. I feel like it's going to be hard to reproduce. If you go to Maui right now, you probably won't find a red banana. You probably have to go during in season time, and they don't even sell red bananas in all of Maui, all the supermarkets. I did not find it even though they were in season, so you just have to be lucky. Some neighbors or something, as I was driving through, they just happened to have a bunch of red bananas just sitting on the side of the road, and it's like, oh, take whatever you like, pay whatever you like. They had like passion fruits, red bananas, other bananas. it was awesome. I don't know. I would go to Maui again, hopefully to reproduce something like this. It was great. Get washed ashore in in Round Rocks Beach in Barbados. So a long time ago, I think while I was going to college, I went to various cruises to the Caribbeans. Now, of course, you don't want to go to cruises at all because of COVID. But while I was in Barbados or the surrounding islands, I think there's like St. James and I forget all the other islands, but there was this one beach where um, the stones on the beach was so um, roughed up or like beaten up that every single stone was completely round, and sometimes there might be glass, and those would be completely round as well. So you can just walk on the beach and it would be very, very comfortable because everything is very round for some reason. The temperature was hot, the water was warm, the water was so clear. It's like 2 feet into the water and you can see completely through. You lay on in the hot warm water and the shore is just washing you left and right, and you can just kind of lay there like this, and the water is just kind of covering you. I don't know, this is paradise. No other beach is as good as those beaches in Barbados. Even like the ones in Hawaii is not as good. That is the clearest water I've ever seen. Maybe what is it? Bora Bora. Maybe that would be pretty good too. I've never been there myself, but yeah. You go to Australia, pet a wallaby. Those are these little tiny kangaroo looking like things, and they're very friendly at the zoo. If you are nice to them, they'll be nice to you. They let you pet them at the zoo. You just walk through this wallaby area where they just run wild, and they let you touch them. You feed them and stuff. Really, really cool. New Zealand, you can eat twa-twas, which are clams. I personally really, really like clams. And so when I get a chance to try a new clam, I'm all on it. And it turns out they were really, really good. Although a little bit small, you got to get a few of them. But they were so fresh because they are native to that area. And I guess they just get them really, really fresh over there. So if you go to New Zealand, try the twa-twas. Try the caviar. This is something you can do locally. Costco, I got it at Costco. I forget what kind. It was like this grayish looking kind. The best one that they sell, Marmla Sol or something like that. Don't get the salmon one because that's not real caviar. You want the caviar from sturgeons, and it's expensive. I think I paid like $60 for like a one little 1 ounce can. But this is the price you have to pay to try something new. And after you try it, it's not like you're gonna keep on habitually eating it, right? Because then that would be really expensive. I thought it's fun to try one time, and after eating it, I just kind of know what it tastes like. Sometimes when you go to expensive dinners, 30 minutes, they have a little bit of caviar on top of fancy foods, and then you don't really get a good taste of it. You don't really know what it tastes like. So I thought I wanted to, just eat spoonfuls of this stuff. So I went to Costco, buy that particular caviar, and if you're looking for it in Costco, you probably won't find it easily, other than the Christmas season. That's when they have all the special foods, and they're gonna have caviar and stuff. So you can buy it then. And I would say it's an experience to try, and my description of it is that it's a little bit of a nutty flavor and it's very salty. It's kind of like ikura from the sushi. If you eat, the salmon eggs, it's salty like that. It's fishy like that, except it has a nutty flavor, and also except the little balls of eggs are a lot smaller. So if you can imagine that, that is what it tastes like. If I've never tried it before, I cannot describe it to you. So I guess for me, these new experiences are great. Do I want to try it again time after time? Yeah, maybe I can try it one more time, but it's not worth it as much for me anymore because it's so expensive. Uh, it's worth one try. I would say it's worth the 60. It might, due to inflation, it might be $80 now. Go to Salvation Mountain. This is like some random place, kind of east of Los Angeles. It's painted mountains, and it's like a structure, more of like a prayer type of place. It's it has crosses everywhere. It's a very interesting place, along with Watts Tower, which is in the middle of Los Angeles. These two places are actually places I've seen in Grand Theft Auto. I think I've seen Watts Tower in Grand Theft Auto. I forget if Salvation Mountain is also in Grand Theft Auto 5. Salvation Mountain I probably saw in like things you have to see in Los Angeles type of list type of thing. Both very interesting. I would say don't go looking around everything that people list. I go through other people's lists, and some of it I'm like, I don't really care about that. But Salvation Mountain, Watts Tower, it just kind of piqued an interest in me. That's why I went to see those. Um, yeah, I guess all the landmarks are pretty interesting. Visit Chiang Mai. Uh, the early retirement thing had me interested. I wanted to go research to see if it was feasible to live there. It turns out I went there and I actually hated it. Too much touristy stuff. I guess I could get away from it, but then I don't know. I kind of like a place that doesn't try to rip you off all the time. So because of that, it left a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't think it can redeem itself because of this. I just don't like the attitude of the culture where they charge a different price for tourists versus local people. It's just not right. Eat agates and drink milk tea in Hong Kong. Uh, Whenever you go to a new country, you gotta have the stuff that they have, and that they're known for, or they're what they call la sao, right? Like the things they're good at. And Hong Kong, of course, the agates and Hong Kong milk tea originates from there, and bunch of other really really good food. I can go on and on. There are really really good places for pineapple bun, and I have never had pineapple bun so good until just a couple years ago. You never had a real pineapple bun until you have it at the good places there. And in Hong Kong, there are a lot of blow your mind type of food in Hong Kong. So that's why it's such a good place. I don't know. In the Bay Area, there's very few mind blowing type of foods that's just laying around the corner. Hit a golf ball at the driving range well. I guess when I started playing golf with my Korean coworker, it was kind of fun. But then I always wanted to be able to hit the golf ball. They might have you play golf in physical education in high school, but then you never get really, really good at it. So after getting my driving range, you practice a few times, and finally you can actually go there in a nice summer afternoon. It feels nice and warm. You see a bunch of green grass. You are at the driving range. You only need to pay $8 to $10 for a small bucket, and you can kind of feel how serene it is. It's usually very, very quiet at the driving range, and just kind of feel the flow and hit the ball. That's all you're doing. Concentrate on hitting the ball. It's kind of like a meditative thing to do. That is why I like it, even though it will cost you a little bit, but then you're not. Well, I personally don't do it every single week. I just do it when I feel like it, maybe once or twice a summer. Yeah. Long Ging Hin in Hong Kong. Yet another really, really good dim sum place. That has to be the best dim sum I've ever had, and it's known for very, 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 very good dim sum. The siu mai, the pork dumpling with shrimp thing, it's just out of this world. Lots of food out of this world. The dim sum is just, oh my gosh. You need a reservation there, and I don't even know how I got in there myself. I had to had a relative to help me get a reservation there. Apparently, you need to make a reservation 1 month in advance. Who knows how they are at right now? Because maybe you can get to go. I don't know. Does Hong Kong have lockdown right now? I'm not too sure. Take go-kart lessons. I did this when I was in college. I do all kinds of crazy stuff back then. Pay the lesson fee. I forget how much it was. It was expensive. Another one of these things where it's worth it. And go-kart lessons is not these typical go-kart ones. These crazy go-karts go from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. Very, very fast for a go-kart. And the straightaway, it's a 1/4 mile long. And so these are serious go-karts, and it's just fun. They guide you through, how you're supposed to drive. They take you through like various runs where you can't pass people, and then they work you up to a level where you can actually pass people. It's really, really fun, just like learning how to ride a motorcycle. But personally for me, once I learned how to do it, it's not like, oh, I want to ride this all the time. I'm going to get my own professional racing go-kart and racing. No, I just learned it, and it was fun for the time being. And now I think if I go to regular go-karts, they go fast enough. I don't think they're 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, but they are pretty darn fast at, the local go-kart places. I think it's like $20 for a lap, or not a lap, like one run you pay $20, which is probably like, I forget how many laps, like 6 laps or 10 laps or something like that. So it's a lot cheaper, and the feeling is almost as good. The professional go-karts, you have a wider track, you go faster, but both of them you feel just as fun because you're really low to the ground and you feel like you're going really, really fast. Yeah, like 95% of the fun as the pro go-karts. Drift in a Hyundai. This is kind of like a family car I had a long time ago. Oh my gosh, yeah. So there is this like kind of like a dirt road type of thing, and then I drove on top of it, even though it was raining really, really hard. I'm like, oh, it slips around, so you can kind of learn to drift without anybody, on the road. This is kind of like a fenced off area, so no one's around, and then you can, kind of slide around as much as you want. So that's my experience with drifting. It's fun. I don't know how you can reproduce this, but you need some area with a dirt road, and it's raining also, and you drive a car that that's kind of a beater car type of thing. So yeah, that was fun. Work odd jobs. I made a video for each of these odd jobs because it's just something I always wanted to do. When I was working as an engineer, you just fantasize about doing other mundane jobs. You just kind of want to try new things. But if that is your profession, you don't get a chance to do that. Right now, well, I'm sort of like a YouTuber, but I make random videos. Not really a YouTuber, it's not like a professional YouTuber, I guess. I'm not like that, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on one thing and make sure to grow my channel every single chance that I get and take every single sponsorship opportunity, earn as much money as I can. I fully know that these videos might not make me the most money, but it feeds my soul. So does working odd jobs feed my soul. I don't want to work at it too long. I just want to know what it's like working there, including working at an Amazon warehouse, driving for Uber for 2 weeks, DoorDash for 1 week. Wait, did I do DoorDash for a week? I think maybe it was only 2 days. I wrapped zongzi for 2 full days. These are these leaf wrap things at my friend's parents' store. Amazon warehouse. I worked there for 1 whole week. I wish I stayed a little bit longer, but I just cut it off because I wasn't feeling well. I think I had like I was coming down with like a fever or something, so then I had to cut it short. Otherwise, I would have probably worked another week or maybe just kept on continuing on with it. All these things taught me invaluable lessons in what those jobs entail, how hard it is to work at each one of them. So it gives me a better understanding that Uber, oh my God, if you sit in the car for 2 hours at a time, your feet, your thighs get numb. I think this is a very big health hazard for Uber drivers. So you probably need to get up every single hour and kind of do stretches and stuff. But the way it's structured, it does not allow you to do this. It's set up in such a way where if it's during peak times, you really don't want to reject a fare, because if you reject a fare, it means you're going to earn less. So every single chance that you get, if it's one continuous run of fare after fare after fare, you're most likely not going to force yourself to say, hey, I'm not going to take that fare. I'm going to earn less. I need to stretch. No, it's not like that. And going to the bathroom is probably an issue as well after, especially, you ride around for an hour, you go somewhere, drop someone off for an hour, and then what, you're going to try and find a bathroom or something? This costs time. Time is money in an Uber. So there are a lot of issues like that. Attend a Mai Tai match in Thailand. I just happened to browse interesting things to do in Thailand, and this kind of tickled my fancy, I guess. This is a recurring theme. It really needs to pique your interest. I have to keep on repeating this. Just because I list all these things does not mean you should go and do them. Look to see if it seems interesting to you, of course, before you even try to do it. Sukuji fish auction. I went to Sukuji, thankfully, before they close it off to the public. I was able to witness all these people speaking very, very fast, lifting up the tail end of a tuna with like a little metal pick. It's kind of perverty, kind of like lifting up a skirt or something, but I know it's not a skirt. It's like lifting up the tuna. They lift it up to look at the color of the tuna, to check to see how marble it is or whatnot. They can see a lot from, lifting up the skirt of the tuna. Yeah, I just thought that it was kind of like a weird thing to do, but I totally understand that it's absolutely necessary. And then they do the auction for the tuna. It was awesome to see them going blah 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 blah. Yeah. And then they also had the same thing in Korea. Although when I went, I think they weren't actually having an auction at that particular time, but then I was able to go in and take a look at the auction site. Fly a personal airplane for a minute. When I was helping the guy I worked for to build his airplane, he had connections with a lot of people who flies airplanes. So then he asked, his friend, he's like, oh yeah, let's ride with you to, I forget this other airport. It's like halfway between here and Sacramento. And, you get to get in the plane, they need to fuel up. So then they go, there's this fueling thing, you fuel it up yourself. I think you fuel it up yourself. I forget. It was a long time ago. And once they got the airplane up in the air, I was in a 4-person airplane, and the person I work for, his name is Bob, and now he's like, what is he doing? He's like farming with farming equipment over in Kansas, and he let me sit in the front seat, and it was like such a crazy experience. This is so meaningful. Like to this day I still remember, because just one single time of riding an airplane, and then when I was up in the air, the pilot is like, oh yeah, hey, you want to take the stick? I'm like, oh, what? Like, crazy? This, are you serious? I'm like so excited. I could not believe they let me take the stick. I didn't even have a pilot's license, but they're allowed to do that, apparently. I don't know. But then they're like, okay, take the stick and then fly towards that cloud on the right, at 2 o'clock. So then I'm like, oh, okay, just move it over here. The plane, you just kind of go, whoa, the whole thing moves. You can just kind of feel you're just kind of dropping a little bit. And then you're like, okay, move down a little bit and fly through that cloud. So then you have to push that stick down a little bit. And then you go down, and then you pull up, you go up, and it was awesome. This, I guess, makes me think about how much new experiences mean to a younger person. Because, back then I was a younger person. I was in high school. So, yeah, just think about that if you have like younger people next to you, and they're inexperienced with stuff, and then you have access to a bunch of resources, and you can just say, hey, why let you give this a try. You show whatever to them. It doesn't cost you very much, and it would mean literally the world to them. That flight meant the world to me. So that is all. These are the 70 things. I think this is 70 things over here. I didn't really count. Just in this video, I probably did 30 bucket list things, and this is a long enough video already. I thank you for watching, and with this no-cut video, if you guys are interested in sponsoring, well, not sponsoring, helping me out, check out the link to Webull. You can get 4 free shares. I think you can get 4 free shares. I'll write down the terms in the video description below. If you just sign up to this account, deposit $100. Signing up gives you 2 free shares of stock, and signing up gets you another 2 free shares of stock. And if you sign up through my link, you can help me out, make more videos like these, and hopefully I won't go broke from making random videos that I do like, rather than random videos or just only finance videos. Thanks for watching, and hope you guys sign up to that Webull thing, and hope you guys found some cool new bucket list ideas over here. Thanks for watching.